Well, g'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of BlankCanvasTV.com. We are changing the way you see and experience art. I'm Andre Knott, and I'm your host for the program right here. Today we're going to focus in on a pretty cool concept right here, and it's quite an argumentative one as well, and that is, what makes an artist an artist? For centuries, people have been asking this question, particularly within the 20th century, where there was so much happening within the art world, so much change, so many things going on, not only in the art world, but the world at large. And because of the things that were happening in the world at large at that time, and all of the tumultuous events, many times people were looking at art in a different way, completely different way. You had all these modernist art types of art coming out. So, I mean, this question was really put forward many times over. What makes an artist a true artist, and not simply just someone who's perhaps copying whatever else is out there? And I think if you consider the economics, the stigma, and the work environment of an artist, it always boggles my mind and makes me question, why would an artist ever truly want to become an artist? Most artists go through all sorts of troubles and trials and tribulations to get to the level of acclaim where they become world famous. It's not by mistake or accident that artists become world famous. It's usually through many types of exhibitions and many opportunities to get out in the world and absolutely go through very difficult situations. I've heard stories of artists who had their hands broken leaving the Soviet Union because they didn't want their talent to go elsewhere. I've heard of stories of artists literally having to sleep on park benches in Rome in order to get recognized by people walking past in the street. I've heard of stories of artists who pretty much wanted to start as a child but didn't get their break until their mid-50s. I mean, 1 in 1,000 artists become successful in their art to world standard, and maybe 1 in 5,000 become successful to world standard. 1 in 1,000 may even make money from their art. I mean, there's all sorts of trials and tribulations. You think of the stigma of the artists and the difficulty of basically they're a lot of ramshackle type apartments and living in difficult situations and a very bohemian life. These are not necessarily the sort of things that every person out there wants. So I mean, all of these situations for an artist, I mean, it always boggles my mind why they would ever want to do it. But every single artist I've ever spoken to, and I think this is the real point right here, what makes an artist an artist? Every single artist I've talked about has talked about the act of creation. And the act of creating. That's what they're looking at. That's what they're driving at. The creative impulse to put something new out onto the canvas, to put a new concept, a new idea, no matter what that is. So while things were happening in the 20th century and the whole art world was changing, and all these big modernist artists were creating all sorts of different things, even just lines on canvas, people are saying, that's not art, that's a line on a canvas. Well, the creative impulse was that this has never been done before, and that this is an expression of my inner self. This is an expression of art right here. However, if someone else, they were to become famous for that, and someone else were to do a line on a canvas, and they were not Jean Miro or whatever the case may have been, that was simply a copyist work. So I think this is what we have to focus in on. That is the act of creating, and also the creative impulse. I've got a quote right here from Robert Henry. Maybe he's a legendary American artist and teacher, and I think he may have expressed it very well when he says, the artist, he said, finds gain in the work itself, not outside of it. And contemporary painter Ed Moses comments on the results. The reward is discovery through process. What is found may be what I'm looking for, the physical evidence and not the intention. That's what I'm talking about. So the creative impulse in art, that's what makes an artist an artist. Hey, if you've got any other ideas, place them right here at the website. Tell me what you think makes a true artist. And yeah, I'm looking for your opinions. But you know what, at the end of the day, that creative impulse, I think that's what made Andy Warhol famous for his soup cans. Anyone else who had painted the soup cans afterward would have just been a copyist as well. I'm Andre Knott, I'm your host of BlankCanvasTV.com. We're changing the way you see, experience art. We'll see you on the next episode. Catch you in a couple of days. Bye.